welcome back to Tiger Dragon Storm's podcast, the Spiritual Awakening Show. Today's question is a tricky one, but I'm going to attempt to answer it. It reads, what if enlightenment includes the realization that it is not a fixed permanent state? What happens if your brain develops dementia? To answer the first question, what if enlightenment includes the realization that it is not a fixed permanent state? Well, enlightenment does include that. Because what you see with the enlightenment experience is that there was no such thing as a state. Anyway, even in the first place. For something to be a state, that would mean there is something fixed in time, because there was this state and now there is another state. But when you truly see through the illusion of time, you realize there were no states. There has never been a past or a future. There was always just what is, and the mind cannot fathom that. Just as you can watch a TV screen and flick the channel and flick the channel again, all of those changes of channels did not move the screen at all. The screen didn't change. It's the same with our experiences of states. That in which the states appear in front of, which is the awareness of the states, of course, that doesn't change. You are aware of the so-called deep sleep state, the so-called dream state, and the so-called waking state, the now state. You are aware there are three basic states, so you must be that which is unchanging. So you truly see that there are no states to begin with. I said like a more in-depth answer, but with a sort of simple answer, yes, the sort of the bubble, the intensity of enlightenment is not a fixed state. That does change. It's more like wow. It's all here. It's all beautiful. It's all now. I'm everything. Then the understanding doesn't leave, but the intensity does drop. Second question, what if your brain develops dementia? Well, again, with the enlightenment experience, you come to realize that there was never a you who acquired something called awakening or enlightenment or made it happen. Everything you did as the person to arrive to that moment, you come to see had no bearing, because it's all the same moment. It's all the same moment. So all the ups and downs on your spiritual path, you see in the awakening experience that all those up and downs did not cause anything to happen, because there was always just what we call now. So you truly realize that you never attained anything. You've always been that. It's always been self-evident, but you just overlooked it because of the mind doing its job. The mind or ego, whichever word you wish to use. So because you realize that there was never a you that did it, it just happened through what you can call grace or the universe, or just life. It just happened. Just as everything just happens. Then with this understanding, then you can then see that if someone did have dementia, they can still have the enlightenment experience. Because the enlightenment experience does not require a intellectual understanding. It does not require you believing you are Jonathan Winston Kelly. It does not require you having memories. It does not require you knowing your partner or your kid's face. It does not require that. It does not require anything other than you on some level believing you are a separate entity. That's all that is needed. If you at least acknowledge that people are telling you your name but you don't remember your name, you you at least acknowledge that you don't feel well. You at least acknowledge you can see, you can hear, the senses. That's enough to have the belief that you are a separate self. So the realization that you are not can still appear. Because as I said before, it was never the separate self idea who attained enlightenment, who created it. It just happens because you always are that, essentially. Why do you think when the senses stop, meaning when you're not aware of the senses, such as in deep sleep, you are at complete peace? You don't need a person to be at peace. You don't need the mind to be at peace. In fact, the mind is what keeps you agitated, irritated. Opposite of peace. You see, so it's not the senses that create, that are needed to be working in a specific way for enlightenment to happen. So yes, even with dementia, Alzheimer's, any sort of disease, one can still have an awakening, a spiritual awakening experience, I suggest. Because, as I said before, you realize that there was never a person or you that did it anyway. So it doesn't matter what you call yourself, doesn't matter what memories you have, you don't need it to awaken, because it never did it anyway. It's not the mind that does it. The mind, if anything, disappears for a moment for the true seeing to occur. If your true nature is revealed in enlightenment, then by definition your true nature is not who you think you are anyway, regardless. So having any sort of mental disease, it's not going to affect your true nature. The true nature by definition has to always be, because it's true, it's absolute, it's constant. So the experiences that take place in front of it, such as I know who I am versus I don't know who I am. Doctor said a disease has occurred. Whatever the experience that is that's taking place in front of that pure being that you are, the true nature, it won't affect the true nature. Just as you could create magic fireballs in your hand and try and burn the air around you, the space around you, you cannot touch the space around you. You cannot hurt it. You cannot affect it. Because the space is that which holds the physical. Just as your pure being is that which holds the non-physical, that we call mind. So it's a good question, but I hope I've answered it and satisfied at least some of you listeners. It's obviously a question that I could go on about because it's a big question. But essentially, there is never a separate self who awakes to the truth. The truth is always present. So it doesn't take a self to awaken. So being so-called right of mind or not right of mind does not matter. The awakening experience can still take place. I hope this helps you. I hope you have a wonderful day or evening, and I'll see you in the next video podcast. Thank you for listening or watching this episode. If you are listening to it on my podcast, please follow. If you're watching this podcast on YouTube, please subscribe, and you'll stay up to date with the latest answers to the many interesting questions that the spiritual world has to offer. See you in the next one.